What's up, everyone? I'm Coach D, and Happy New Year to everyone out there. So as you guys know, in the next few days, the House is going to be voting on a Speaker of the House. And Mike Johnson, who is the current Speaker of the House, is kind of going to be looking at a little bit of a battle. And here's the reason. So most Republicans do not want him as Speaker of the House. And Donald Trump has barely ever wanted him as Speaker of the House as well. But he does realize that if they don't have a Speaker of the House, his election can't be certified. So in order to get that happening as quick as he can so that he could try and get the rest of his cabinet in place, he has come out and publicly backed Speaker Mike Johnson. And he's basically said he's a great guy and whatever, but Republicans have been going on now for probably months since calling him MAGA Mike. And remember, they went through the big old, clown show of getting rid of, McCarthy, and then pretending, they were going to even make, Byron Donalds Speaker of the House. There were people voting for all types of people, but they couldn't get Jim Jordan in there. It was a complete clown show because they didn't want McCarthy. No one could vote for Jim Jordan. They finally settled on Mike Johnson. They called him MAGA Mike. They said he's going to do all these great things. You had him standing front and center with Lauren Boebert and a couple of other people, a couple of other representatives, and they were just so happy to rally around him. And then weeks later, they started basically calling him a rhino, saying that he was, bringing bills to the floor that the Democrats were kind of bullying him into, and basically saying he wasn't a good speaker. But then in comes Donald Trump to say, no, I think he should be the Speaker of the House. But that is not even the craziest part of this whole thing. The craziest part of this entire thing right now, because obviously we know the Republican Party is a complete clown show right now. They're in disarray. There's a lot of chaos going on. But some Republicans are now coming out and supporting Mike Johnson basically because they do whatever Donald Trump says. But what Representative Tim Burchett said as his reason for backing Mike Johnson is nuts. And it makes sense in the climate we're in today with the people who are in the Republican Party that are being, basically elevated to the highest positions. You have Donald Trump, you have Matt Gaetz, you have Lauren Boebert, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene. So Tim Burchett is saying, hey, let's go ahead and support Mike Johnson for this reason.
Mike's been a good friend to me, and there's nobody more honest that I've ever dealt with in Washington. I mean, he is a fine Christian man. He's not a religious man. He's a Christian man, and he doesn't cheat on his wife. And I find that very appealing in Washington, D.C.
Now, I know the knee-jerk reaction is to be like, what the hell? Like, why is that the standard? But then think about it for a second. Let's go down the line here. Donald Trump, 3 wives, multiple children, cheated on each wife with the next wife, cheated on the last wife with a porn star, right? So obviously he's who he is. Matt Gaetz, the allegations about him, he's definitely has come out in many tweets and said, yeah, I was a womanizer and so forth and so on. So he's who he is. You have Lauren Boebert. The guy she married was a convicted sexual offender. She was present when he became a sex offender and tried to blame the underage girls for the incident where he took his member out and showed it to them. When the police showed up, she said of the 17-year-old girls, they asked to see it. So Lauren Boebert tried to blame 17-year-old girls for her then boyfriend, who became her husband, being a sexual predator. Then she divorces him or gets separated from him. And soon after that, she is seen in a theater with a man, a supposed, someone she barely knew, and was being fondled him in a theater where children were present. So she's who she is. Then we have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who many rumors about the amount of affairs she had while working at a gym, at a CrossFit or whatever, and then her leaving her husband at the same time she started seeing, Brian Glenn, who was with someone as well, when they started seeing each other, and now they're together. So it almost kind of, not even almost kind of, it makes sense that Tim Burchett would be saying, listen, the guy's not out there cheating on his wife, and that is refreshing in our party. And the fact that that's what he thinks is the standard, that's the standard now for being Speaker of the House in the Republican Party. Not that you know the Constitution, or you're a constitutionalist or a constitutional scholar, not that you're going to legislate, things that are going to do, great things for the American people. No, he's a Christian guy, and he's not cheating on his wife. That's it. Because the leaders of the party are some of the most vile people that you can even imagine. So Tim Burchett, as crazy as it seems, that probably needs to be the standard, because there's not a lot of them who are reaching that standard. This is a very unserious party. It is crazy that right now, because of the mistakes we made in this voting cycle, this party that has a standard of you're not running around in bars and sleeping around and paying prostitutes and all that, have the House, the Senate, the presidency, and the Supreme Court for at least 2 years. But if we're smart, we get to the polls in 2026 and we make sure we take the House and Senate back, because we are in for a huge clown show for the next 2 years, and 4 if we don't do something in 2026. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy in their heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.